Welcome back to the channel. For those who are new, my name is Maurice Thomas Jr. And what I do is I strive to make content to change the lives of individuals, families, and communities in meaningful and positive ways. From success stories to financial literacy, you'll find something here to actually entertain you or pique your curiosity. Overall, we have the legend in the building today. I was able to catch up with him and secure some time. Fred, my ace, how you feeling?
Good evening. Good evening. I feel good, man. I can't complain. It wouldn't do me any good, and no one wants to hear it. So I'm rolling with the punches.
And you got to trademark that, put that on the shirt, man. Definitely got to trademark, put that on the shirt. So wanted to catch up with Fred. My sans is when I say sans, for my international people, sans is my when I say ace and I say sans, what's a good way to explain that, sans?
Your fraternity brother, more like your real brother, but we came through the organization Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, March 13, 2007, same time. We're on the same line.
Same line. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna make it short. Same line, same season, different things of that nature. But yes, I caught up with my sons. He is doing a phenomenal job of balancing being a husband, being a father, being a friend, being a fraternity brother, and so on. The guy wears so many hats, and I kind of wanted to get and have a high level conversation on how he's able to sustain himself and be able to he don't run himself thin by overextending his hands. So I wanted to get on here and have a high level conversation around that. And I'll be the first to let you know. You know what? I'll start with a story later. I'll give you a story later. You're gonna be cracking up, Sands. But uh, Fred, tell them a little about yourself, full government name,
Cool.
what you got going on, different things of that nature.
I don't know about full government, no, but my name is Fred White, Frederick White. That's about as formal as I'll get. But I'm currently a business to business sales consultant for Staples Corporate. Uh, Pretty much a vast history in sales and marketing. But ultimately, I'm just a regular man stumbling and freestyling through life.
Freestyling through life. A part of me want to believe that. However, I want to say, where did you get the blueprint from? Is it something where you read a book, or is it something where you have like what's the motto? Not a motto, but the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Like where do you get your core principle, values, norms, and beliefs from?
Uh, to tell you the truth, being raised in church, you get a lot of moral value or compass from there. But I believe that myself, I had an early understanding of life's challenges and ultimately accepting what I could control and what I could not. You know, the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Although, that is a mantra that many people live by, I can say that it's realistically helped me to just understand that it's not my plan. So
Mhm.
when I say I'm freestyling, a lot of times, as jokingly as it may seem, I honestly don't set too many plans because I understand that things can change at the drop of a dime. So I just adapt. And I think that's what a good portion of life is, just adaptation.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love the fact that you said that you was raised in the church. Now, I'll say this. I feel saying I'm gonna push back on that a little bit that you freestyling because when we have these high level conversations or when we check in with each other, you're always doing something for someone in the sense of you always being there for them, if that makes sense. Now, me personally, I didn't understand the value of networking when I was in college and so on. And matter of fact, we'll take it personal. A couple years back, and people probably heard me discuss this before, being in the chapter 13, bankruptcy, different things of that nature. I was in a dark place, man. And I got a call from Fred and accountability in that conversation. Oh my God, man. He he basically was stern, but at the same time, he was coming from a place where I know it wasn't being malicious. And basically, what happened was, y'all, remember I told you I wasn't good with my network, and then here it is, my brother, my fraternity brother, different things of that nature. He was upset that I didn't use him as a crutch to get through that dark time that I was actually going through, and that's what some other things happened that I knew he was there for me, but that one right there really put everything in the cement. And I'm just like, look, man, when people are hurting, hurt people, man. And I didn't want to bring that over to you, different things of that nature. And he said, let me decide that. But I digress. How do you how do you balance being a husband, being a father? You know, like for example, I one more example. I called him the other day, and of course, you know, he's ramping up for a workout for his son. And not only that, he's making sure that he spends time with his wife. He's making sure that he spends time with trying to think, man. Oh, you about to watch a movie, have a movie night. I forgot what movie you guys was about to watch. But again, giving
Time to
everyone
enjoy.
that, yeah, giving everybody their individual like time. I'm talking too much, but you see where I'm trying to go with this. How do you balance yourself without wearing yourself too thin, man?
Uh, there's truly no perfect science to it. Uh, I believe the best policy is honesty, as they say, and that's
Uh-huh.
just being honest with yourself first and foremost. Worst kind of lie is a lie to yourself, because you can't build a happy home if no one in your home is happy. So
Mm,
you ultimately have to prioritize in your life what what is going to be the most impactful uh, part of your day,
mm,
because change day to day. No one day is the same. So whether that be balancing work expectations or that of your household, we all have duties, and duties are given to those who are thought to be responsible. So my responsibility as a husband, as a father, is to make sure that my household is taken care of,
mm,
primarily that they need to be happy.
mm,
Well, how do I make them happy? I have to make sure that I allocate proper time to cater to their needs. I think as fathers, or as the head of the household, a lot of times we really get caught in the process of taking care of everyone and making sure that they are taken care of, and then our feelings themselves get put on the back burner. Now, of course, there's always self-preservation, self-care. You got to take that time to yourself, but as a protector provider, I always want to make sure that those around me that depend on me are actually taken care of. So the main thing I do, well checks within my household. Like, hey, is there anything you need from me? And those simple questions can go a mile. You know,
mm.
I've been told for a long time, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. We say that a lot in sales. Don't over talk it. But I'm a very regular guy. I say that all the time. Tell me what it is you need or what you want from me, and that way I know there's no ambiguity. So I ask my wife, hey, what do you need? Is there something that you need me to do? If not, then I'll go sit in my corner and relax until something is requested of me. So, I
Absolutely.
just checks and balances, man. You just got to make sure that you're checking in with everybody, and that goes from my wife on down to my sons, making sure that I spend necessary time with them.
Got it.
Growing up in a single parent household, I realize and recognize not how much you can provide financially or materialistically, they'll hold on to. So for me, even if that's just watching them play the game, or
Mm,
being able to pick up a controller with them, even if I've only got 30 minutes, they'll still hang on to that time and be able to look back on that and say my father was around. And that's ultimately what I want. What is
absolutely.
I'm leaving.
Absolutely. And what was that acronym again? KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Don't overthink or overanalyze too many situations. Read things on the surface
Got it. Got it. It's
Okay.
lagging it's lagging just a little bit, but I did catch it. I'll say this. I'm taking notes. You telling me, Reese, focus, pay attention to the right thing at the right time, and your goal is to be fully present in that moment. Um, which totally makes sense. I'll say this. Nadia pulled me to the side the other day, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. She pulled me to the side and said, "You okay?" I'm like, "Man, I'm okay." What? You see what I'm doing? You see these numbers? I'm doing great. She pulled me to the side. Maybe like 5 minutes later, asked me the same question again. And mind you, I'm just so locked in. Long story short, I'm like, man, I'm fine. But then I had to stop and realize, like, oh, I know what she's asking now. And me being me, I'm like, man, look, all our business endeavors are thriving. We doing extremely well. But I have a habit of, me, I go to bed around 7 or 8, man. So I really
Mm.
ain't even putting no time in. The fact that she's on maternity leave and then she just had the baby as well. What is that called? Post something, man.
Postpartum depression.
Yeah, she don't have it, but I found out about it. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was a real thing. Like after women have babies and different things of that nature. But long story short, um, I have a habit of not being in the moment. I'm always planning things. I'm always, hey, did you talk to your mom? Did you call your mom? Did you call your brother? Like she asked me these things because I'd be so locked in. But being in the moment, it sounds like it's mission critical. How do you determine how you're gonna delegate your time? I know it sounds like being present, but when you're being pulled in different directions, how do you let someone off the hook as it relates to going to wrestling matches or, a date with the wife or, I got a meeting at the deacon board or some alpha business, how do you balance that?
Uh, to tell you the truth, what holds the most weight in your day-to-day operations is the easiest way to think about it. You know, my job or my career,
Uh-huh.
of course, that's necessary for me to sustain my roof over my head, put food on the table. However, to what extent am I stretching myself? You know, they talk
Mm,
about work-life balance all the time. You have to be able to manage what is a healthy work-life balance for you. Some people are honestly able to work at a high level with minimum amount of sleep, and they're willing to sacrifice that time in the beginning so that they can experience those joys in the end. Uh, I don't disagree with that. How large of a sacrifice are you making? But that's for you to determine realistically. For it's not a cookie cutter type of situation or one size fits all. For me and my lifestyle or my family,
mm-hmm,
that the money will come uh, as far as keeping everything else together financially.
mm,
You know how to do your job. If it's something that you're professing in, you put time towards the things that you truly want to excel in or that you're interested in. So if you know how to sell or you know how to market, whatever your endeavor or industry is, for you, information technology, you know where your strengths are.
right.
Once you know that, all right, I can handle this. Yes, there are things that may be of higher priority that you know you can tackle, but knowing that I can do this, usually with minimal, I should say, uh, what's the word that I'm looking for? Uh, and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. That usually doesn't happen, but with minimal damage, I guess, to your personal life or time allocated, then you should be able to delegate or prioritize. Hey, let me put this off for a second and handle those things, even if it's just as small as let me go give my wife a hug. Let me hold her for
Mm,
10 to 15 minutes. You never know
okay.
what that affection is, but it's also understanding your partner's love language too. Like,
That's a big one. That's a big one right there. Understanding love language. I struggle with that before. Okay, so I struggle with this in the sense of a one size fits all for all the children. You know, Maurice is 13 now, Ashton is 9, and I have 2 children under 5. I mean, under 5, under 2. So
Mhm.
Maurice, you know, I was teaching him or asking him to perform in a certain way, not really understanding who he was and what he was becoming as he matriculated through a private Catholic school in Ohio. Ashton, Ashton is different. My guy is totally different. And the fact that he reside here now is more of, okay, now I see I have to explain things a little bit different than him. And then they're just totally different. But understanding who they are, their love language in general, how to communicate with them was mission critical. While you were talking, I came up with some steps because we gotta have some steps for people to walk away with, Fred. And
Mhm.
number one, I put determine what's important to you.
Mhm.
Number two, I said keep those priorities right in front of your nose. I know that was all right, but keep those priorities right in front of your nose.
Yeah.
Number three, say no to anything that detracts you from your priority. Saying no is a skill. I didn't learn that till later on in my career, but I used to be like, hey, I'll do it because I thought, you know, the team needed it. I wanted to make sure the team success was always there. But saying no that actually you know, that takes you away from anything from that priority. Step four, I put step four is spend your time on your priorities. Otherwise, there are not really priorities. That sound about right?
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
I know my list corny, man, but I was trying to come up with something.
man, I mean, the ability to simplify a complex process is definitely a skill that takes you far. So, however you can make it simple enough for anyone to understand,
Yeah.
being able to code switch in whatever language is easiest is going to be the most beneficial. So prioritize, man. That's your primary focus. Prioritize what is important, as you touched on. Like, is your career more important than your family? If
Uh-huh.
so, if so, then that's the path that you choose to walk. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're building your your wealth, your legacy, which
Yeah.
may be to your career for your family, then don't you want your family to be able to enjoy that with you? So they might be the priority over that. Making sure
Yeah.
that there's a clear understanding. I would say you need to add in there, make sure the lines of communication are open. So if your wife, your partner, whoever doesn't understand your process, make sure that you are at least explaining the steps. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
may not know what my end result is. You may know what my goal may be.
Mm-hmm.
Since we have no way, I don't have infinite knowledge. I don't know what the future holds. We know what I'm working towards.
Yeah.
So as long as I can explain my steps, so there's not they say idle mind is the devil's playground. I don't want one of my pet peeves is being confused, not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I'm explaining to my partner, hey, this is where I'm at. This is
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So if there is something that I may be missing from her,
Mm-hmm.
then she can let me know so I can regroup, maybe restructure my process.
Mm.
We're resetting. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of life is adaptation. Even throughout
Yeah.
your marriage, your relationship, things will always change, and it's about how you're able to adapt to those changes while growing through life.
Yeah. This is good stuff, man. You cooking now. You cooking now. I put be sure the lines of communication are open. And I put something for asterisk. I put cultivate simple pleasures that take less time and money. How does that sound?
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's reasonable right there.
That's reason.
That, that's reasonable.
Hey, tell us about your self-care, man. How many hours do you allocate to yourself? What does your self-care regimen look like as well?
Uh, to tell you the truth, self care for me, I mean, there's not too many things that I myself enjoy doing outside of just having my alone time, I guess you can say, my me
Yeah.
time, as they
Hmm.
as they say, and that's just being in the household, being in my man cave. If I can go to the basement, watch a movie, some cartoons, play the game, then that's what I do. Now, of course, I make sure everybody else is taken care of, but once I'm in my me time, then they know, hey, let dad be where he is for a second. And sometimes that's even just being able to take a nap, just to be honest. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going to give you a soft reset. You got, they say that about cell phones, which is just turning it off and turning it back on. A soft reset.
Yeah.
So taking a nap sometimes is a quick way to just get your mental health back in order, because
Mm-hmm.
fatigue is real, and it's not necessarily physically but mentally, and we all know that that can come about at the drop of a dime. When your body needs rest, it'll take it from you.
Right.
It may be just an inability to elocute a thought. So that
Yeah.
means, hey, let me rest for a second, regroup, rethink, and now I can better speak to my point, to whatever capacity that may be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Gave
yeah,
some.
you do self-care, uh, and you'll know when you need to take it, because your
Mm.
body will tell you.
Oh, that's a great point. I never thought about that. I'll say this. In the past, like I said, as it relates to my job, in my personal life, if people in the past, they know me. I may say I'll be somewhere, but I won't go because I'm really into like my me time or self-care. But the reason why I mention that is because now I'm intentional with my time. My time, I get up anywhere between 4:30 to 5, do some editing, put some information out. No sooner I do that, I make sure, I got a little work. I got a little gym in the garage. Um, this little space here, my wife gave me the guest bedroom, so that's why you see the setup like this now. But long story short, um, I have that time from about 5 to 7:30, and I'm very productive. No matter if I wash, work out, I get everything done, man. If it's any dishes that's left over from the evening, I'm able to get everything done and perform at a high level first thing in the morning. It kind of tapers off later in the evening, but overall, self-care is serious. It's a serious thing.
Gary, man, getting up at 5, no title to you. That you're far more diligent than I am, because I cannot operate that early.
I don't know, man. I saw you in action, man. Who's that? That was Billy 5 in the morning.
That was many moons ago. Years yester.
Yo, it was. Hey, look. I don't even want to go there. Maybe I'll try to find a snippet of our pro show and put it out there, man. You see my friend, I see my son's Fred perform at such a high level consistently, man. He never let us down. But as you can see, as it relates to being a father, being a husband, being a fraternity brother, like he's always there in good spirits. Um, Something I borrow from you is I always laugh a lot. I got a post-it note here, and I'm not laughing enough because that's just who I am. No matter what, and, if I'm joking, no matter what, I'm laughing. Um, my question here before I go, I want to ask you as it relates to um, your habits. I always say your habits reinforce or identify your reality. You have some solid habits. I'm pretty sure that everyone around you is picking up, no matter if it's good, no matter if it's bad, but I'm pretty sure you have some great ones here. What is the legacy that you want to leave for your family?
Oh, that's a lot to unpack when you're talking about legacy. Of course, everyone, I believe, wants to create generational wealth, but more importantly, from uh, a family man aspect, if you will, I want them to know that their father, their husband, always made them laugh, always made them smile. Because when I'm gone, what will the memories that you have of me be? What will they detail?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be able to look back and smile and say, "Man, my dad was this," or "My husband always made me laugh." Whether if that's just me dancing around the house, screaming at the top of my lungs for no reason, because I do that, just to make sure that everybody is aware that I'm in the home.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm in the house like baking soda, as they say. Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I
keep it light, man. That's if I could say it in any better terminology, just keep it light.
keep it
You
light.
know, life is too short to take it too serious.
Yo, I've been telling people that lately, like, hey man, because a lot of people say you only live once. Like you live every day, man. You only die once. It's a big difference. And I'll say this, man. Egypt is calling me. However, I still have another question. Where can people find you if they want to continue this conversation or just want to have a conversation with you in the future? Like, what's your handles for social media? What's
Okay.
your handle for LinkedIn? What are some avenues they can reach out to you?
You can find me on Facebook because that is my only social media handle. I try not to immerse or fully emerge myself in too much social media. There's a lot of things on there that can distract you or not necessarily realistic. So everybody, it's a public forum and it's subject to public opinion. And
Yeah,
many opinions sometimes can distract you from what your ultimate goal is. It's good to have perspective, but too many vantage points, and you might go blind.
yeah. Good
uh,
point, man.
but
I saw you in a few heated battles or debates on a Book of Faces before.
yeah, I mean,
What was your
if
favorite? What was your favorite three? What was your top three favorite debates? I know I just saw you. I know Fred not Fred, but Jazz just posted something here around masculinity or something. Like I didn't get a chance to dive into it. But what's your top three?
he was speaking towards the fragility in the Jazz, which is the deuce of our line. He was asking something to the, and I'm paraphrasing, something to the extent of the fragility in the male psyche as it regards to, I guess you can call it toxic masculinity. I thought it was a pretty good topic, but again, there was a lot to unpack in that. And I just pretty much approached it from a stance of what we are groomed or raised to be versus what we realistic, I guess, perception versus reality from the
Yeah,
male perspective,
yeah,
uh, and just the antithesis of the two. So, there's so much to unpack, but I think that a lot of it is based in what the socioeconomic status of men versus women were in the
hmm
past, as it regards to the men being the breadwinners in the home and the women were the primary caretakers. And then with the women's right movement of the 60s and 70s, helping to break down those barriers of quote unquote inferiority, having a big strike against the ego of men and them having to search for a new purpose in life. Well, now that women's rights have now somewhat taken away from the male ego, that sense of empowerment or entitlement, what is it that now their purpose is in the household? What do they do? So ultimately, when you match what once was a status quo of several hundred years of the man being, I am the top, the pinnacle of of human species, if you will.
yeah,
Like, I make the money, I make the rules, listen and bow down before me, hierarchy, male patriarchy, as they say. And then uh that being pitted against what the definition of a strong man, a real man, or a good man is with today's woman. I think that's where you meet the conflict. It's an odd dichotomy. Ultimately, I think there's just too many people trying to determine what an actual man is. So that was a pretty good topic for me to touch on, and I'll only really engage in a social media debate if it's something worth truly discussing.
yeah.
Uh, A
I,
lot of it is just banter.
right.
Uh,
I'll say this. If I may interject here, I just thought about something. You know who has some nice topics? I think he called what do you call it on Tuesdays? Talk Tuesdays, Topic Tuesdays or something.
about it Tuesdays.
Yeah, Hazel.
Hayes,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, he has some nice topics and he touch on a lot as well. Um, and when I can, I try to go and look at me. I like to listen with the intent to understand. Like, I really don't comment anything of that nature, but I like to see what different point of views people have, and it's always based on how they grew up, their experiences, where they're
Mhm.
heading. They're always norms, values, and beliefs. You can always learn someone that way. Um,
I agree. That's a big reason and why, I am friends with Trump supporters or who by my social media friends, if you will,
mhm,
may consider them racist or discriminatory or make discriminatory comments. But a lot of it, I think, is just based on perspective. As you were alluding to, where you were raised, some of it is not coming from a place of malice. Some of it is just a lack of understanding.
yeah,
Uh, and that's why we have two ears and one mouth. So you should listen more than you talk.
yeah,
And listen to understand, not to respond, because if I can try to understand, I don't argue people's emotions, to somewhat digress.
mhm,
Your emotions are real. What I'll argue is your process, your way of thinking. How did you arrive at that emotion? If you're angry and that's legitimate, but why are you angry? How did you get there? So let's
mhm,
discuss that. Because if I change your process, then I change your product, your result. So
mhm.
a lot of times it's just hearing, let me hear your perspective, your vantage point. Where are you looking from? And then maybe we can have an open discussion. But that's the thing about social media. There's a lot of social media politicians or everybody thinks or has the assumption that they are right or that their viewpoint is the correct one. Where I just want to have an open discussion, a healthy debate that's not necessarily hostile or volatile, just trying to seek understanding. And the more we try to understand each other, I think the better off we'll be, as simplistic as that sounds.
No, man, that was good stuff. I'll say this. Just to unpack it just a little bit, I like how you said you have supporters. This goes back to you wearing multiple hats. You have multiple people who are Trump supporters and different things of that nature, and then you just have some individuals who, different across the spectrum, overall. And you cast no judgment and different things of that nature, and you're still able to approach them at a high level as it relates to their process that you actually said. Now, with someone's process, how do you? Let me ask you this. I'm real big on cultivating, mentoring, um, coaching, whatever it may be. How do you know where you need to delegate your time? Like, it goes back to your priorities, but I'm talking about from your friends. Like, which one, when you at work and somebody say something crazy, what do you be like, what, this is a teachable moment, or do you just walk away, table it for later on? How do you know, like, I need to coach this person or give this person this perspective?
You know what? It honestly depends on the subject matter. Something
Ah,
sometimes people will fly off the cuff, and understanding what your audience is. You also have to be a coach, manage your personnel.
yeah.
Who is it that you're speaking with? Do you know this person personally? Are they somebody that you interact with
Mm,
sporadically? So what deserves your energy? And that's how you also regulate your own mental health. Because there are some times that, and I'm human, I'm not a robot. Of course I have emotion, that I'll
mhm.
read some things that may be triggering, but then I have to do some self-reflection, like, hey, does this deserve my commentary? What is my ultimate goal? What do I hope to achieve from this if I respond? If it's a truly teachable moment, if it's somebody who's willing to have that type of discussion, then I'll engage it. But you also have to be analytical, which is why I like to read a lot of comments first before, I jump back. Are you being argumentative? Are you truly seeking understanding?
Yeah.
Because the type of person I am, one of my pet peeves, I hate being confused. So if you're making a
Yeah.
comment
You
coming from
serious about that too?
yeah, I do not like being confused. Help me understand. I believe that it, although it may not be the easiest task all the time, I believe you should be able to tell someone what you mean, how you mean it, and why you mean what you said. Uh, just walk me through your process. How did you get from A to Z?
Mm.
You
Let me
know,
ask you, let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask you to put on your husband hat for a minute. When you were raised a certain way and your wife was raised a certain way, I don't want to say her name for privacy reasons though. I almost said it, man. Oh man, I was close. Was but how do you guys um how you guys come to a medium as it relates to making decisions? Like how do you so the tough ones, not the easy ones, the tough ones.
oh well, Lord. Well, uh, again, as they say, marriage is hard work, man. It's constant communication or conversations. If I'd be lying to say that we haven't had the same conversations over and over again, but it's just making sure that there is an understanding,
Mm,
because if you don't understand why I did what I did, which is a big reason, and she doesn't necessarily like it all the time, but I've just recently had to explain, hey, I'm asking not to be facetious when we're having a conversation. Do you understand? And I do this in my sales conversations as well, because I don't want there to be a miscue or miscommunication in
mm,
what I'm trying to say. I don't want there to be a misconception of what my point is, because I can I can say blue, but if you think indigo, that's not necessarily the color that I'm talking about. If
yeah.
that makes sense. And that's a, a,
Mm,
a fairly vague example, but I want to make sure that when I explain something, that you understand exactly what I meant. So I
mm-hmm,
always try to, after I've touched on my point, hey, you understand what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Sometimes that can come off a little brash,
yeah.
or ultimately it could seem like a slight against, maybe an attack on someone's intelligence. But having to again explain and making sure that I'm communicating it, like, hey, I don't mean this to be argumentative, but I want to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from, what I'm actually trying to say.
Mm,
So all that to say that the conversations will never stop, because we are different people. We're not going to think the same. A good example or analogy that I would use is, excuse me, men are 2 plus 2 equals 4, women are 2 times 2 equals 4. You're getting the same result, but we have different methodology to get there. So
wait. Hold on. Say that again, man. Bid are 2 plus 2.
men are 2 plus 2 equals 4, women are 2 times 2 equals 4.
I ain't never heard of
Same,
that, man.
different methodology. So, we're both walking in the same direction, but your path just may be different than mine. But we're still trying to achieve the same goal. So, hey, this is having those conversations where I might not agree with what or the way that you're going about doing something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It
Yeah,
just may be the way that I would go about it.
yeah.
But being mature enough to have that conversation, and also choosing that battle, like, hey, if was there any,
Ooh,
you have to choose your battles wisely, like, hey, if that's not the way I would have done it, but did the job get done?
yeah,
Ultimately measured by the results, right? Did it
yeah.
not happen? What were we trying to achieve?
Yo, I'm laughing because when you said choose your battles wisely, I promise you, the only time that my wife get underneath my skin or make me frustrated or whatever it may be is around food. I'll say, Like, what do you want to eat for dinner? And she said, I don't know. And I throw something out there. I don't want that. I'm like, what? Like, soon as you say you don't want that, now I'm kind of like, especially after you give 3 or 4 examples of what some ideas. It's like, nah, I really don't want that. So I always know after I get the three and the fourth one, I know, all right, she just want a steak or she want a loaded potato from this place down here. Cause it ain't too many places down here well, I'll say this, because I almost gave up my location. I'll say this, being in the suburbs of Atlanta, the customer service is horrible. So after a certain time, I promise you, after a certain time, you're not gonna get A1 customer service. And then two, it's just something about the youth down here, man. It's just totally different than the Midwest, man. But I digress.
Mhm.
Communication is mission critical. I like how you said that. I like how you gave examples too and made yourself put yourself out there to be vulnerable. Because I don't want her to watch this and say, man, I don't like to say capping me because you know, capping is like cutting jokes. So I don't know. That's just different generation. But I digress. Let me see. You gave your Facebook handle. Matter of fact, you didn't. You didn't give your Facebook handle because we kind of went down that rabbit hole around you know, topics and engaging in certain posts and different things of that nature.
But you can reach me on Facebook, Frederick White. The same on LinkedIn. I don't have any other social media handles. Like I say, I don't subscribe to too much of it. No Instagram, no Twitters,
Yeah,
but Facebook definitely Frederick White and LinkedIn Frederick White.
appreciate that. Appreciate that. Leave us with something. People come here to get inspired. Not only do they come to get inspired, they come to laugh at different things of that nature. You can actually give one of your jokes. You can actually give something real serious. But close us out with something. Close out with something, Fred.
Let me see. Close this out with something. You put me on the spot, man. Something I guess I touched on earlier. Don't try to wear yourself thin, sticking to a plan that you have no control over. You know, I always say that I'm freestyling in life. There is no true blueprint because everybody's path is different. So stick to your guns, trust your gut, and never make a decision of vast importance in isolation. Seek.
Mm. Oh, I said so. I might have cut you out because I was agreeing with it. What was the last part?
I said, never make a decision of vast importance in isolation. Seek perspective.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Appreciate you coming on here today and sharing your thoughts on how to balance multiple hats, multiple roles, family dynamics. You touched on a lot here. um I wanted to dive in more around financial pieces, but I kind of want to do that for like a part two, how you balance your kids endeavors, because I know wrestling, how much does wrestling cost a year, man? Traveling, how much you think it costs a year? Traveling, getting them to games, paying for things.
It's a little bit different coming out of the pandemic because they had canceled my son's season. But realistically, if you're factoring in gas, travel to tournaments or registration fees like that,
Yeah,
it may be realistically about maybe $400 in youth wrestling. Uh, it depends on how many tournaments, open tournaments you choose to enter. So that's one thing. Like with a I'd say a man-to-man sport
yeah,
versus football, where it's a team sport. Your game's already set up and everything. These tournaments, open tournaments, you have the option whether to enter them or not. But the more mat time you get, the better situational wrestling you become at. So you
yeah,
have to see different things. It's
yeah. I want to touch on that. I want to touch on how you divvy out. You know, all right, you got X amount of money coming in. How do you divvy out which ones that you're gonna cultivate? Like, he's great in wrestling. Like, he's not good. He's great. I think he's number one in the city, in the state, right? No, not. Hold
Uh,
up, hold up. I know I ain't on top. He's number one though in the city for sure, right?
no, no, no. I mean, he was a state qualifier at 8 years old. Is what he
We
was,
gotta
and
say he number one. We're gonna put it out there. Like we all right, all right. I see you being humble. He number one, man.
for at the time for his age, he was undefeated in his division going into states. Uh,
Number
of
one.
course, he didn't necessarily
What
place
was your line
people
number?
tough kids. Oh, I was number one. I was an eight. So
He was number one. We gonna say it. We gonna say it. But the reason why I say that is because that's not including like the workouts that you do, gym memberships. I'm pretty sure you ain't factor that in there in coaching. I'm pretty sure you do a certain amount of coaching. I'm pretty sure you hire a coach. But it goes back to we have X amount of money coming in. Is this something that I think he could have a future in? And not only that, he likes it. If you see that that's his outlet or whatever it may be, I kind of want to go on. I don't want to start that conversation, but I think we have a part two. I'm gonna do a part two with you and Cordell as it relates to different things like that. Well, I don't want to get a topic. I don't want to do that right there. But hey, man, appreciate you coming on here. For anyone that want to reach out to Fred, he gave that Facebook handle. I'll put it in the description. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to this channel here. Again, I try to put out videos every Wednesday. I'm actually going to stagger them going forward because, I'll explain that later. But um, yeah, I'll say we'll stagger the videos going forward. I did promise I'll put them out every Wednesday, but I think I'm gonna stagger them between like every other week. Wednesday one week, Tuesday and Thursday the following week, and so on. I think that's gonna be my schedule there. Outside of that, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you back here on the next upload.